The Hampton Roads region recognizes that sea level rise is both a challenge and an opportunity, and it's looking to proactively initiate steps to stay ahead of this emerging issue. It requires the collaboration of local, regional, state, and federal partners. The risk of doing nothing to address this issue is not an option and would be extremely costly and have negative impacts on the regional, state, and national economies.
We're a major employer across the Commonwealth. $80 billion of activity on an annual basis is because the port is here. If our port floods and we cannot move freight, it will have an immense impact on the economy of Virginia, but also on the economy of the United States through the whole Mid-Atlantic. 36% of our freight goes to the Midwest, or comes from the Midwest. So if they can't get that freight in and out of this port because of flooding, what are they going to do?
Sea level rise is a direct threat to national security. It's a threat in the installations here in Hampton Roads, the most dense concentration of military installations in the country. All of the services have a significant presence here. Contributes about 37% of our gross regional product, and that's a little over $19.5 billion a year in direct spending.
If you look at even over the last few years, the frequency of flooding around the streets and the neighborhoods and the communities that come in and out of the port have been impacted. So when the flooding happens, you can't move freight, you can't move cars, you can't move people. And then from a supply chain side, that creates a vulnerability because then we may not be able to move the freight for a period of time until the flooding's dealt with. And it's only going to get worse. So that's why we have to be acting together with all of the other stakeholders to address sea level rise today.
You don't even have to have a hurricane or a nor'easter. If it is a torrential downpour, or if you have a confluence of an onshore wind with a high tide, you are seeing persistent flooding on various military installations. If you're on the water, and most of them are, they have an issue today. If I can't effectively use the military assets that I have paid for with taxpayer dollars over a very long time, then the effectiveness of America's military is diminished greatly. The signs are clear. This is only going to get worse, so we need to figure it out.
As a former state legislator, I understand the potential and the impact that sea level rise can have on a state's bond rating. Moody's Investor Services recently released a report indicating that sea level rise will have a negative impact on the credit factor for states and local governments. We don't have the option of not doing anything.
The height of irresponsibility would be for us not to try and address that problem now, but to pass on to future generations.
Sea level rise has been a huge challenge, not only for our city, but for our region. But also we understand that this is an opportunity to grow.
We can be leaders in our country because we are directly impacted, and we're not the only coastal community. We have quite a few along the East Coast that are going to be impacted.
The Hampton Roads region recognizes both the challenge and the opportunity presented, and we are already actively addressing the issue, including hosting the Dutch Dialogues and creating a regional accelerator called RISE, funded with $5 million from the National Disaster Resilience Competition to identify, support, and monetize solutions to address sea level rise and resilience. And all 17 municipalities that make up the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission have unanimously adopted a regional legislative agenda that requests action on coastal resiliency and flood mitigation. We stand united on approaching this as a critical regional and statewide issue.
Leaving this to future generations is totally irresponsible because we have the minds, we have the potential, we have the capital to make sure this place is safe for our children.